Hey friend, Roger Christopherson here again with another first listen review, and this is one that I was kind of looking forward to. I heard them talking about this, going back probably last year, actually probably since the Kick deluxe set came out. I'm talking about INXS, and I'm about to babble about their album, Listen Like Thieves, the 40th anniversary, and I didn't really know what was all going to be in this thing. I saw finally, I don't know, a week or two ago, I found where they were going to list what was in it. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's what I was hoping for. They got a remix of the album. There's a bunch of bonus stuff, and there's a live disc. And I was pretty happy to see what all that was going to be, and I was really kind of eager to hear it all. My history of this band is like kind of back and forth. I think it was probably right around Shabu Shaba is when I kind of learned who they were. There was that US Festival that was done. I forget what the year that was now. Gosh darn it. But anyway, whenever that kind of came about, I had heard about them before that. The local radio station I had, it was like a rock station, but they used to play a couple of their songs, which I thought was kind of interesting because really not a rock band, especially the early stuff is I wouldn't consider rock. I'm talking like classic rock because the station I used to listen to, and they used to play, Don't Change, I think was one of the ones, and maybe Original Sin. I'm really not sure exactly which ones, but I remember hearing some songs earlier on. And if I'm not mistaken, like that US Festival, they played pretty much the whole Shabu Shaba album except for maybe one or two songs off of it. And that was like kind of a big deal back then. I remember they broadcast it on the radio, and I sat in my radio recording everything. So when their next couple albums came out, like The Swing, and then especially this one, Listen Like Thieves, I was like really into the band at this point, and they'd obviously gotten a little bit more rock with this album, a little more funk too. I really liked the band, and then for whatever reason, I don't know what happened, they came out with Kick, and I heard that Need You Tonight, and I didn't like that song at first. I found heavy metal, kind of a metalhead kid back in those days, and for whatever reason I just remember hating that song, and then didn't really give that album a chance at that point in time, and I just kind of got away from them. And then luckily I came to my senses and I realized that album's actually pretty good, but I don't think it was until like X I got that one, and it was a little bit more on the rock edge, a little bit more straightforward. And then I went back and got Kick, and I was like, okay, this album actually is pretty good, even though it was huge. There were so many. I think it's part of the reason I probably didn't give it a chance is because it was so big. I just the rebellious little me didn't want to like anything that everybody else liked. I wanted it to be mine. And I think when they became huge, that's part of it. I think that happens with some of us. We love these bands and we want to keep them ours, and that did not happen with these guys at all. And of course, what happened later on. But anyway, back to this album. I remember when What You Need came out, and I just thought that was a cool song. It was a lot more rockin' than any of their earlier stuff. And of course, that's like the lead song off of this. So I sat down to listen to this, and saw that they did an actual remix, not just a remaster. It was a remix done by Giles Martin and Paul Hicks. I'm sorry, I'm not that familiar with, but I do have to say, I think they did a great job. They went right back to bare bones and remixed this thing. And kind of reading up on this a little bit before I got it, stuff I just actually didn't know. When they recorded this album, they recorded it like live, like a band in the studio. They didn't do it track by track like a lot of bands do, and like they did later on. They actually went in, recorded all this stuff live. Of course, when they went back in and did overdubs and stuff, of course. Wrote most of everything, and like the rehearsals, everybody kind of came in and did it. And there was only one song that they actually wrote in the studio, from what I read up on, and that's all stuff I did not know. So when it came to the demos and the outtakes part, which I'll get to in just a bit, that was kind of cool listening to that because of this. But anyway, just gonna get back to the the remix I was talking about here. So like they said, they went back to like basic tracks, which was a remix. It's what it should be. I don't know why they kind of made that like a special deal, but they went back, just started from scratch, did like, a whole redo of the album as far as the mixing goes, and I think they did a pretty darn good job. It is got a way, and sometimes you hear stuff and you don't notice much. Instantly noticed how thick the sound is. It's still crystal clear. You hear everything perfectly fine. Good separation in the instruments, but just overall, a big, fuller, more powerful overall sound. The bass on this is actually, I think, just sounded huge to me. And it's kind of another thing that I noticed after listening to this album again, because I'll admit it's been a long time since I listened to this album, probably like years that since I've listened to this one. And I did notice that the bass playing on this one is a lot more involved, and there's a lot cooler parts than especially stuff on like Kick and X, and from that point on actually they got the bass parts got a little bit more basic, which is one of those things that bass players hate. If you're a bass player, you don't want to like listen to songs that just play just the root notes, and it's the same thing from beginning to end with no variation at all, because it's stylized like that, gives bass players a bad rep. This album actually has really cool stuff going on, which I kind of had forgotten or never really picked up on. A lot of cool stuff going on, especially the stuff like Red Sun and Shine Like It Does has got some cool stuff. Just like little things here and there that in same direction. Same direction actually. I might as well jump ahead, because that's pretty much, if you've heard Listen Like Thieves, you know that album's cool. It's not their best album, but it's up there. It's probably in my top 3, I would say. And I just think songs, especially the title track, I think is probably my favorite song on the whole album. But listening back again, there's some good stuff. Songs that I actually forgotten about, so it was fun listening to that again. But like I was saying, they purposely were going for a more funky feel in this stuff, and it's funny because they call a lot of the songs in here, well, not a lot, there's a couple that they call funk song number 11. Like Take Two is like one of the first actual songs that they have in here. And there's a little studio dialogue in between a lot of the songs, and there's funk number 9 later on down here, which is a working title for Same Direction. And number 11 was actually the working title for What You Need, so stuff like that in there. But the one that really stuck out the most to me, it was there's a studio jam for Red Sun, which when they're doing that, and you can hear how they're working the songs out like in the studio, and that was like one of the bass parts I was talking about. That one, like that's when I like really noticed and kind of had to like pay closer attention to what was going on at that point, even though I'd already listened to the remix and noticed it there too. But I was really picking up on it through all this, that this band like actually really rocks. It's kind of funny because the alternate takes and the studio demos are a lot more rock than what the actual end result was. So it was kind of fun listening to all this extra stuff in here, and it's a lot of quick little stuff. They're not full songs, a lot of them. So even though it seems like there's a lot of stuff here, like 19 tracks, it's not all like full songs. There's like I said, a little dialogue in here, and then listening to the studio demos, and not a whole lot different from the final take, quite honestly. They didn't change a lot, but it was just kind of cool hearing them play through all that, and the majority of the songs are actually covered in there, so that was pretty cool. And then as a bonus, I guess they had kind of forgotten they had this concert, what was live from the Royal Albert Hall in London on June 24th in 1986, and there's some really famous people. Mick Jagger, I think, was in the audience. I read that in one of the reviews I'd looked up on this, and I can't remember who else they said was in the audience. Mick Jagger is the only one that like really sticks out at this point. But as I was listening to this, I was thinking how good they actually performed, and excuse me, how nervous I think I would have been, having like extremely famous, probably heroes of these guys, musicians, sitting right in the audience watching you that close, because it's a fairly, even though it's like a really famous place for concerts, it's not huge. It's a theater, it's set up like that, so it's not a huge place. So I just kind of was, as I was listening to that, just thinking what it would be like to play in front of those guys, and they did a great job. Played the majority of the album with a couple extra ones thrown in there, like Soul Mistake was thrown in, excuse me, and Do What You Do from the soundtrack to, Pretty, how was it? Pretty in Pink? Not Pretty in Pink. I can't think of what the album was. Oh, it's one of these things where we call it the case of the olds, where I can't remember what the soundtrack was now. Was it? Gosh darn it. Well, anyway, somebody will remember what that is. I'm like just drawing a big mind fart here. But anyway, that's in there. And then, of course, Original Sin, Different World. And then the rest of it's pretty much the rest of the album. So it was fun listening to that. The sound quality of that is actually phenomenal too. So good job all around. There's like, sometimes you get these, it's a 3-disc set here, so you get that much extra stuff, and a lot of it's just complete garbage. But this was actually really fun to listen to, and I actually sat down and listened to the whole thing straight through. It was kind of a cool, relaxing evening, just sitting back checking it out. So anyway, this is going on a little bit long, so I'm not going to carry on with this any longer, but I was really happy with this. I was thinking, if you're an INXS fan, you're going to love this. Excuse me, my throat's getting really dry here. So we don't do edits. So as always, I ask people to leave comments on what they think about it. If you've heard it, got any cool INXS stories, how did you guys find the band? What's your favorite albums? Whatever you want to tell me or tell the rest of the world, feel free. And as I always say, like, share, and subscribe to keep this music alive, because even though they're not around anymore, it's cool to hear this stuff that has been around for years. Hopefully they keep digging in the vaults, and I know there's got to be some cool stuff out there. I mean, they haven't gotten the X or anything beyond that yet, so I think I might go check out some more of their earlier stuff. It's kind of made me pique my interest and want to maybe go back a little earlier in the catalog and listen to what they got. So it's probably what I'm going to do the rest of the night, and until they do their next box set release, we'll see you.